Okay, new book, new Artificer subclasses. Let's talk about these bad boys, especially the new Cartographer, Alchemist. Okay, so the Alchemist subclass used to suck. This is their chance to save it. Starting at level 3, you get this spell list. And not gonna lie, it's kind of a rough start because none of these spells combo particularly well with the Artificer's new best feature, spell storing item. That's a big deal for late game Artificers. The spells Healing Word and Mass Healing Word are really good though, but they compete for your bonus action, which might be quite busy. Why is it busy? Well, because we got the upgrade to the Alchemist that we desperately needed. You and your allies can now drink your elixirs as a bonus action. Whenever you finish a long rest while holding your Alchemist supplies, you can produce 2 elixirs randomly from this table. It's odd that it's random. I really don't know why they do this, but the options are all pretty decent buffs. There's healing on par with the Cure Wounds spell, there's a bonus to your movement speed, there's a +1 AC, there's a kind of bless effect that gives you a +1 d4 to your attacks and your saves, and there's a fly speed. And if you roll a 6, you can actually choose the elixir that you want. But best of all, these elixirs now grow in power as you level up. Before, this was just all you got for the entire game. Now they scale with you. That said, not all of these buffs are made equal. The bonus to your AC and the bless effect don't actually increase in power, they just increase in duration. Because they're only a bonus action to drink, you and your allies are probably just gonna neck these in combat when you need them. So the difference between 1 minute, 10 minutes, and an hour isn't actually that significant unless you're running back-to-back combats. You also get some bonus proficiencies at 3rd level, and you can craft potions using the rules from the DMG in half the time. Finally, you can create more elixirs when you use an action and drop a spell slot. When you do this, you choose the elixir that you get. This is pretty good. The effects of the potions are roughly on par with what a 1st level spell slot should be, but it's not like you're drowning in spell slots. You only have 3 spell slots per long rest until you reach level 5. And speaking of level 5, that's when you get Alchemical Savant. When you cast a spell using your Alchemist supplies as the spellcasting focus, you get a bonus equal to your intelligence modifier to 1 roll of that spell, if it's acid, fire, or poison damage, or 1 healing roll. That's not bad. You do get Flaming Sphere and Cloud Kill in your spell list to take advantage of this, but honestly, just slapping a +5 on top of your Fireball cantrip is pretty tasty. Level 9, and you can cast Lesser Restoration, a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier per long rest without expending any spell slot. Lesser Restoration is a fine spell, but it's very niche. If you're in a campaign where you find yourself blinded, poisoned, or paralyzed often, this could be quite useful, but I think in 90% of games, this feature isn't really gonna see much use. Level 15, and you get Chemical Mastery. First of all, anytime you cast an Artificer spell that deals acid, fire, or poison damage, you can add 2d8 to the damage of that spell, but only once per turn. That's not bad bonus damage, but it's not ridiculous either at this level. The wording is also a little ambiguous, but I'm gonna rule if you cast a concentration spell like Cloud Kill, you can trigger this on every single turn, even if you didn't cast the Artificer spell that turn. If your DM doesn't use that interpretation, this is really quite weak. You also resist acid and poison damage at this level, and you're immune to the poison condition. That's nice. And finally, you can cast Tasha's Bubbling Cauldron without a spell slot once per long rest. That's the spell that essentially gives your party 5 uncommon potions of your choice. Most of the damage resistance potions are uncommon, so you can hand out cold damage resistance to the entire party before going off to fight a white dragon. That's pretty good. Or 5 potions of growth make the entire party super big, and everyone deals an extra 1d4 on their weapon attacks. Honestly, Bubbling Cauldron isn't a particularly great 6th level spell, but with all of this coming at once at level 15, it's a pretty nice package of abilities. The Alchemist is way better than it used to be. Unfortunately, it does still lag behind other Artificer subclasses in my opinion, but less so than it used to. It used to be borderline unplayable without modification. Now you can at least play and enjoy this subclass without feeling like you're stabbing yourself repeatedly in the balls. I'd say it's a B tier subclass now. Armorer. Iron Man, the subclass, is back, and he brought the Hulkbuster. Level 3, you get heavy armor proficiency, a couple of tools, and now when you craft any armor, the crafting time is halved. You also get a fantastic spell list. Pretty much all of these are amazing, and Hypnotic Pattern and Lightning Bolt are fantastic options for the Artificer's spell storing item feature at level 11. You can also wield armor without penalty even if you don't meet the typical strength requirement. Gym bros are in shambles, and you can don or doff armor as an action. Most iconically, you can specialize your armor to gain a bunch of abilities, and there's a new option here, the Dreadnought, alongside the good old Guardian and Infiltrator. The type of armor you spec into determines your abilities. At level 3, the Dreadnought gives you a 1d10 reach weapon that deals force damage on a hit, and when you do hit a creature that's smaller than you, you can pull them 10 feet towards you or push them 10 feet away. You can also use a bonus action to enlarge your armor for 1 minute. You become large in size if possible, and your reach increases by 5 feet. It's the Hulkbuster from Marvel, and being large lets you push and pull medium or smaller creatures with your weapon, which is fine, but many monsters are large and up. Guardian is the tanking armor option. You get a weapon that deals 1d8 thunder damage on a hit, and any creature you hit with it has disadvantage on attacks against any creature other than you. This is amazing, forcing creatures to target you and your ridiculously high AC, drawing fire away from your squishier allies. You can also use a bonus action while blooded to gain temporary hit points equal to your Artificer level. It's not much right now, but by the late game, it's pretty solid. Finally, Infiltrator is the stealth option. You get a simple ranged weapon built into the armor that deals 1d6 lightning damage at a range of 90 feet and a long range of 300. Once per turn, when you hit a target with this attack, that target takes an additional 1d6 lightning damage. Honestly, not bad. Your speed also increases by 5 feet, and you have advantage on stealth checks. All of these options are good, and all attack and damage rolls made with your armor's weapons can use your intelligence modifier. You can also swap between your armor modes anytime you finish a short or long rest, so don't feel pressured to only ever use one. Level 5, you get extra attack. It's simple, it works, you attack twice as often. Level 9 is another simple one. You learn an additional plan for your replicate magic item feature, and you can create an additional item when you finish a long rest, but it must be an infusion that goes with your armor. Yeah, this isn't bad, it's basically just another infusion slash magic item. You also get a +1 to your attack and damage rolls with your armor's weapons at this level, which is tasty. Remember, you can buff them further with your +1 weapon replicate magic item feature too. Finally, at level 15, each armor model gets another boost. Dreadnought's damage increases from 1d10 to 2d6, which is about a 1.5 damage increase per hit. You can now be huge, not large, when you enlarge your armor, letting you pull around a larger proportion of the monster manual, and you get advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws as well. It's not bad, but nothing crazy here. The Guardian's damage increases from a 1d8 to a 1d10, which is an even worse power upgrade than the Dreadnought has. However, when a huge or smaller creature ends its turn within 30 feet of you, you can use your reaction to force it to make a strength save, and on a fail, it is pulled 25 feet towards you, and if it ends its turn within 5 feet, you can make a melee attack against it as part of this reaction. This is awesome, even if you can only do it 5 times per day. It totally plays into your tanking role and keeping enemies safe while dishing out extra damage. Finally, the Infiltrator gets the best damage buff, up from 1d6 to 2d6 per hit. In addition, any creature that takes lightning damage from your attacks has disadvantage on attack rolls against you, sort of like the opposite of the Guardian feature. That's awesome, albeit cowardly. Considering your AC is going to be ridiculous, throwing disadvantage on attack rolls on top is just rubbing salt into the wound. You can also use a bonus action to gain a fly speed equal to twice your current speed until the end of the turn. That should be 70 feet of fly speed minimum, so even though you can't end your turn airborne, this should be enough to get you pretty much anywhere you need to go. You can use that feature 5 times per day as well. The Armorer is still fantastic. Honestly, the new Dreadnoughts might be the lowest impact of the Armorer options, but seeing as you can choose which version you want anytime you finish a short rest, it's only pure upside to have the option. That spell list is still amazing too. Hypnotic Pattern, be crazy. This is a solid A-tier Artificer.
Wilburton, yes, my lord? I'm concerned, Wilburton, that the people don't realize I'm British.
They
don't know you're British, my lord.
Yes, Wilburton, my Britishness is very subtle.
Okay.
We need to go more British, Wilburton. And do you know what every British person loves, Wilburton?
The National Elf Service?
That's right, Wilburton. Maps. Maps, Wilburton, and I've procured the greatest cartographers of the age as our ally. Che Peku Maps, Wilburton. Che Peku are the ultimate purveyors of TTRPG battle maps, be it for fantasy, sci-fi, or any other genre of game. But they're not only maps, Wilburton. Che Peku also have stunning, fully customizable tokens, with literally millions of combinations at your fingertips for TTRPG games, plus beautiful scenes that accompany their maps to illustrate your world. Why, the maps even move, Wilburton! Think of the immersion, Wilburton! Che Peku is the Game Master's ultimate weapon in crafting beautiful adventures and stories, and you can access all they have to offer over at chepeku.com using my link below, with dozens of new maps, scenes, and tokens dropping every month. You can subscribe to access everything or purchase individual items at your leisure. Level up your game today. Link in description.
Artillerist. Whatever happens, we have got a giant gun and they have not. The Artillerist gets an insane spell list. Shout out to Shatter, Shield, Wall of Force, and Fireball. Fireball, stored in a magic item for 10 free castings per day, sounds pretty good. You also get proficiency in martial, ranged weapons, a couple of tools, and you can craft wands in half the time. Most importantly, you get your Eldritch Cannon. It's an action to create, they can be small or tiny, and they use this stat block. 18 AC is actually pretty wacky for level 3, and it's got some great hit points too. Mending restores its HP, and even if it dies, you can just drop an action and a spell slot to make another one. Then, as a bonus action each turn, you can command the cannon to move up to 15 feet, although bear in mind you can just carry it around if it's tiny using your walking speed. You can also command it to fire as part of that bonus action, choosing between Flamethrower, Force Ballista, and Protector. Flamethrower is an AoE for 2d8 fire damage in a 15-foot cone. Force Ballista deals 2d8 damage to a single target with a range of 120 feet and pushes it 5 foot back. And Protector gives both the cannon and every creature of your choice within 10 feet of it temporary hit points equal to 1d8 plus your intelligence modifier. That's some pretty wild bonus action temporary HP. It's not quite Twilight Cleric levels of insane, but it's very beefy and you can swap between any of these options on different bonus actions. Level 5, you get a complicated wording for a feature that is basically just add 1d8 damage to spells that you cast. Because this buffs a single spell's damage roll once per turn, it's best to use this on area of effect spells so multiple creatures are taking that additional 1d8 damage. It turns Shatter from a 3d8 spell to a 4d8 spell. Not bad, but not as impactful as the Armorer's extra attack. Level 9 is Explosive Cannon. Whenever your cannon takes damage, you can use a reaction to cause it to explode. Doing so destroys the cannon, and all creatures within 20 feet of it take 3d10 force damage on a failed dexterity save or half as much on a success. Remember, this will hit you and your allies as well, so be careful. The damage and the temporary hit points your cannon farts out at this level also increase by 1d8, which is very solid. Finally, level 15, you can now rock double Eldritch Cannons. You create 2 at once, and you can activate them both with a bonus action. This effectively doubles the damage output you're dropping. 6d8 fire damage in an AoE is kind of like a bonus action fireball if you squint. You and your allies also get a +2 to your AC just by being near one of your cannons. Does your cannon count as an ally? I would say so this theoretically buffs its own AC to 20, but check with your DM. Either way, this is awesome. You're an Artificer who has the shield spell always prepared, so your AC is going to be ridiculous. I am a big fan of the Artillerist. This is high A tier for sure. Battlesmith. Robot dogs are strong in D&D, and that's the Battlesmith's whole thing. You get Smith's Tools proficiency, martial weapons proficiency, and any weapon you craft is crafted in half the time. You can also use weapons as your spellcasting focus, and you get a great spell list, with Shield making another appearance, and Conjure Barrage being your go-to option for your spell storing item feature. This isn't quite the raw power of dropping fire fireball with spell storing item like the Artillerist can, but Conjure Barrage only ever hits enemies, and it has a massive area of effect, so this is probably the best subclass for exploiting that feature. You can also use your intelligence modifier for all attacks made with magic weapons, letting you do the stabby stab while prioritizing intelligence and constitution for big spells and HP. Finally, you get a Steel Defender. It's basically a permanent summon, a robot dog. It acts on your turn, but it will only ever take the dodge action unless you use a bonus action to command it to do something else. You can also restore it to life if it died within the last hour at the cost of an action and a spell slot, but it takes a full minute to come back with all its hit points restored. Stats wise, it is pretty solid. An AC of 12 plus your intelligence modifier, and HP equal to 5 plus 5 times your Artificer level. That's equally as tanky as the Artillerist's cannon with only a smidgen less HP. It has a melee attack that deals 1d8 plus 2 plus your intelligence modifier on a hit. And it can use an action to repair itself or one object or construct within 5 feet of it for 2d8 plus your intelligence modifier. If you are playing as a construct species like the Warforged, that is really, really good. It's kind of like a bonus action cure wounds 3 times per day. If you're playing any other species, it's basically just self-healing for the robot alone. It's fine, but you're usually going to be better off attacking. As a reaction, your robot can also impose disadvantage on any attack roll targeting an ally within 5 feet of it. This encourages you to take to the front lines fighting side by side with your robot companion. This is all really good, but when it comes down to pure value, I think the Steel Defender is a little bit behind the Artillerist's cannon. It deals less damage, and it is much further behind in terms of healing, even if you are a Warforged. Plus, if the Artillerist's cannon dies, who cares? You can just make a new one as an action, whereas if the robot dog dies, you're not getting it back until you've finished combat. The trade-off is that it's medium in size, so you can ride it if you are a small-sized species, which is a plus 10 to your aura. The Warforged species can even be small now, so this feels intentional. Level 5, you can now attack twice when you take the attack action, and you can swap one of those attacks out to have your Steel Companion attack instead. Their attack is 1d8 plus 2 plus your intelligence modifier, so unless you're rocking a plus 1 weapon, it's probably better to let the doggo chomp in your place. Level 9, you get a kind of mini smite. Once per turn, when you or your robot companion hit a creature, you can deal an additional 2d6 force damage or heal a creature or object within 30 feet of the target for 2d6. You can do this 5 times per day, and it's not bad at all. It's always nice to heal while attacking or just hit a little harder when you need to. Finally, at level 15, you just get better. That previous feature jumps up from 2d6 to 4d6, and suddenly that's some pretty serious damage. And now, if your Steel Defender uses its reaction to impose disadvantage on an attack, the attacker takes 1d4 plus 5 damage. That is one hell of a deterrent from enemies attacking you, encouraging them to attack the dog instead. And because it's a robot dog, you don't need to feel guilty. The Battlesmith is great, what can I say? I think it's very close between the Battlesmith or Artillerist for who is the best Artificer subclass. Just depends whether you prefer guns or robots. This is another high A tier option. Cartographer. The newest kid on the Artificer block is the Cartographer, and this one has a feature that is kind of ridiculous. You'll see when we get there. First of all, you get a couple of skill proficiencies, and the time it takes you to create a spell scroll is halved. This feature will pair beautifully with a thief rogue in the party. Definitely something to look out for. Spell list wise, you get some great stuff, but nothing that synergizes particularly well with the new spell storing item. That's a shame. It's going to be rough when you hit level 11 and are only storing Mind Spike while the Artillerist is throwing down 10 fireballs per day. Still, Fairy Fire, Healing Word, and Banishment are all wins. Your big feature is Adventurer's Atlas. When you finish a long rest, you can create a number of maps equal to 1 plus your intelligence modifier. Even just at level 3, that should be enough maps to cover the entire party. Each creature with a map always knows the location of the other creatures holding the maps as long as they're on the same plane of existence. They can also add 1d4 to all initiative rolls, and they can target other map holders with spells if they're within range, even if they can't see them. That's a really interesting gimmick, and definitely something you could explore in a party dynamic that revolves around heavy obscurement like Fog Cloud or Darkness. You also get mapping magic at level 3, giving you a few free castings of Fairy Fire fire each day, which is good. It's a good first level spell. And even more level 3 features, what the hell, you get portal jump at this level. Spend half your movement to teleport to an unoccupied space within 10 feet of yourself, or a space within 5 feet of another creature that's holding your map if they are within 30 feet of you. A free teleport that you can do with absolutely zero action cost every turn is no joke. At the absolute least, this is a free disengage every turn for the entire game. Awesome. All of those are just your level 3 features, which makes this a very tempting Artificer subclass for a dip, if nothing else. Level 5, you get Guided Precision. You can't lose concentration on your Fairy Fire as a result of taking damage, which is fair enough, and when you damage a creature marked by your Fairy's Fire once per turn, they take an extra 5 damage. This isn't bad, but it's not great. It relies on you using Fairy Fire to have any 5th level feature at all, and by the end game, you are going to have much more impactful concentration effects. Level 9 is another teleportation feature. Whenever you use your Flash of Genius, you or an ally within 30 feet can teleport up to 30 feet as part of that same reaction. I think this is kind of weak for your 9th level feature. Teleportation as a reaction is fine, but Flash of Genius triggers on a failed ability check or saving throw, so it's not like you can teleport someone out of the way of an incoming attack or anything like that. You will be using Flash of Genius quite often, so you will get lots of opportunities to do this. I just don't see it being that impactful. Finally, at level 15, you get Superior Atlas. These are more defensive features, and this time, they're really good. Whenever a map holder would fall to 0 hit points but not die outright, they can destroy their map. Their hit points then change to twice your Artificer level, which is some pretty decent free healing, and they can teleport to within 5 feet of another map holder. And this time, there is no range limit on that teleport. So here's how you break it. You give a familiar or a random hireling, or just your mom, a map, and you leave them back at your house. Remember, you can create 6 maps at this level. Then you have the ultimate total party kill insurance. If you or an ally falls to 0 hit points, you can just poof back to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of your mum, chilling 5,000 miles away with a Thai red curry already on the stove. This feature doesn't even specify that the other map holder needs to be on the same plane of existence to teleport to them. So you could argue that this feature makes the party literally unkillable. Of course, if you're hit with a power word kill or a disintegrate, you would still die, but in 99% of cases, this is the ultimate death insurance for the entire party. You also get the Unerring Path feature at this level, which gives you a free casting of Find the Path once per day. Find the Path is an extremely bad spell, probably the most overcosted spell in D&D at level 6, which just points you in the direction of a location of your choice. But you already have to be familiar with that location. Most DMs will let you do this exact thing with a normal compass and maybe a nature check if they're feeling mean. I don't really see it ever being useful, it's only here for flavor. So the Cartographer is interesting. You've got infinite short-range teleports, you buff everyone else's initiative, and you get some decent spells. You also get an insane late-game defensive feature that makes the party practically unkillable, and worst case scenario, it's an emergency get home button. You can just stab yourself in the neck. New ending to Wizard of Oz just dropped. The Fairy Fire gimmick is also cool, but I don't know what it's really doing here. It doesn't relate to the rest of what the class is about. It's also a shame that you have to cast Fairy Fire for your 5th level feature to do anything, and the 9th level feature is very mid, honestly. Still, there's a lot of great stuff here, including things you could really build around with an entire party. I think it's another A-tier subclass, just maybe on the lower end of A-tier. And if you're still hungry for Artificer subclasses, there's another 2,000 you can access completely for free on my Discord. This year, I did a huge community event with a bunch of user-created Artificer subclasses that you can check out. I'll link the Discord down below. There's also tons of amazing subclasses, species, rules expansions, and adventures out on the Patreon right now. If you join today, you can access over 200 pages of amazing content immediately. That's literally double the amount in the new Everon book for 1/3 of the price. It also helps keep the channel going. We donate 50% of all YouTube ad revenue to charity, and we can only do that thanks to your support. It's people like you who take that extra moment to help out that keeps the whole thing going. And yeah, that's all I've got. Remember to like and subscribe, check out other videos on the channel, and I'll see you next time.